Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Gaelic Lives podcast. We now have three Ulster teams back in the All-Ireland Club finals, and we already had Ballinderry before the weekend, but we now have Virgil Kieran and Niamh Padraig. They're going to contest All-Ireland finals in Croke Park over the next couple of weeks. I'm delighted to be joined once again by the Gaelic Life team, Niall Garton and Mal McMullen. And Niall, we'll come to you first. You were in Newbridge on Saturday night to see Ergal create history for the club and for the county to get through to the All-Ireland final. And I suppose before we come to how big an event and historic victory it was a brilliant game of football. I know we were at home watching it. It was superb quality.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I was in two minds whether to actually go to it, given it's on TV, and I wasn't covering it as such. So sort of mulled over, and then I thought, well, I might as well. And Newbridge have obviously revamped their facilities, and they're much improved to say the least. So makes a great it's a great venue for a game, a pub game. Now, where there's only maybe a few thousand people. There's a great atmosphere down there in Newbridge, and yeah, it was a brilliant game just from start to finish. I don't think there was a lull period at all, really. From minute one to the right to end the extra time. It was enthralling, and yeah, hats off to both teams. And I suppose one of there were various reasons why it was such a good game. Two evenly matched teams, two teams with a bit of pedigree. Dr. Coates didn't play with a sweeper, and Rory and Dara are dangerous at the best of times, and they just let loose completely. And the Dr. Coates manager, Pat O'Shea, was asked about it after the game, and he's trying to see him why didn't he play a sweeper? And he said, well, we stick to our principles type of thing, but it's all well and good, but there's more at stake here than principles and playing the game a certain way, and us winning matches. But either way, sweeper no sweeper, I thought I know you'll get into this further, but I thought Ergal were full value, Sean.
Yeah, well, you mentioned the Canavans tonight as well. Go there straight away. I think they got 113 between them. Did they get the first 11 scores or something for Ergal? So we spoke after the final about them only getting a point between them. They certainly scored more than a point on Saturday.
Yeah, no, right from the off, they're brilliant. It seemed like 1 minute Dara scored, and then 30 seconds later, Rory had the ball over the bar. On an occasion, they were both involved in the same score. I know for maybe Rory's one of their first scores. There was a really good 1-2 between the pair of them. Yeah, they were class, and they're just so entertaining to watch. I don't think there's a more entertaining footballer in the country when he's in form than Tara Canavan, really. And he really is like his out of man in a way. He's got that, I suppose that gain and quickness about him, and he's brilliant on the ground as well. Just like Peter, like if he runs on the ball and kind of slips the Gallard up, he's up again in a microsecond. He's just like Peter in that respect. And Rory had a brilliant game as well. He scored a scatter in the freeze, but maybe nearly every occasion he won the free himself. He definitely scored 3 frees, which came as a result of him being fouled. And yeah, it really was the Rory and Dara show for probably the first 45 minutes. I think it took until that point before another Ergal lad got their names on the score sheet. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see obviously how they get on in Croke Park. And the taking coach Mendham again, and they said they've been flying and training in the lead up to the game. I know they're pulling up the crowd a bit in the extra time, but in the 8-day turnaround, I actually think they'll be grand. I think they'll be flying the game. And the only thing is cool to pack their defence, so it'll probably be a different sort of game. It'll be more like Ulster final, I think.
And just on the two Canavans before we move on, I know the score you're talking about over at the sideline. I think Rory passed it to Dara, and Dara sort of slid in and caught it and give it back to Rory for a point. But the goal, obviously, I know us watching at home missed the pass initially because TG4 were playing a replay, and you missed Rory's pass into Dara. You just seen Dara going through 1-on-1, and what a goal! But then we've seen the pass as well, so both the goal sort of equaled the pass as well. It was super football from the two boys.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Yeah, it was very quick thinking by Rory, as I suppose evidence by the fact that TNG didn't even pick it up. But thankfully, there's a clip of it going about now. I saw it yesterday where you could actually see it pass, and it was even better than I remembered at the game. Like it was just inch perfect, and Dar was able to catch it in the run, and well, what's he going to do here? Is he going to roll it beneath the keeper or something? But he absolutely nailed it into the top corner. You know, it was a chat to the lad before this call. He said it was emphatic, and that's a good word to describe it.
And the Joe Goose goal too, Nell, arguably maybe a more difficult goal where he just kicked it sort of across himself into the top corner. Again, I was expecting it maybe low and hard into the corner, but he went high and it went into the net, and that more or less settled the game really. I know Crokes come back and got a goal of their own, and it was a nervy enough finish. But once Joe Goose hit the net, you just felt that was Erbil were going to get over the line.
Yeah, definitely. And I think before we chat about Joe, we should also have, maybe you're going to ask, probably chat about the referee's performance as well.
We're getting to that.
I don't know how well. Can we be up in the morning in a hurry? Jesus Christ! I think I was reading the local paper here, and the free count discrepancy was 32 frees awarded in favour of Dr. Crokes and 13 awarded in favour of Ergo Kieran, and it just seemed like every time there was a challenge put in the Dr. Crokes fan at all, there was a free given. Yeah, and there was the opposite down all the end of the pitch. You know, it seemed like Ergo had to fight very, very hard to win their frees, you know, and I mean, you have to give referees the benefit of the doubt as best you can. And I interviewed Ben McDonald after the game and asked him about the referee, you know, and he said, well, he's got the best view of these incidents than most of us. He's right up close and referee in All Ireland semi-final for a reason and whatnot, you know, which was very diplomatic then. But he admitted at the same time that it had been a bit frustrating. And there's a lot of people giving off on social media, and I know it's easy to give out about referees and whatnot, but it just seemed very one-sided. I don't know, but anyway, I digress. There, we were talking about Joe Goose' goal. Yeah, it was definitely the one game. Great finish. And Joe Goose had a brilliant. He really came into the game as it wore on. At a stage of the game before it went to extra time, and then during extra time, he was brilliant, and he scored a great point as well. And showed a lot of determination to get over the bar, you know, and he's a good prospect, Joe. You know, he's been about the same for a while now, and he's getting better and better. And he's a good option for Tyrone as well. He'd certainly want to start for Tyrone, and he regularly does start for Tyrone, but he'd want to be a mainstay of the team, you know, and he'd interesting to see how he gets on in future years. And his colleague, as I mentioned there, Ben McDonald, had a really good game in the middle as well. You know, he driving runs up the field, but he did scores on a number of occasions, you know. We've got a good midfield partnership there. Two lads have the phone experience.
Amal, I was going to mention the referee and Mal obviously give us his thoughts on it. I know we were writing in the group chat on Saturday night, and sometimes maybe it's your Ulster bias coming through or whatever, but I think genuinely on Saturday night, Ergal were so harshly done so many times now. There was some silly stuff, like I think, was it Niall Kelly maybe one time in the first half, just the ball had moved on, he maybe pushed his man onto the ground and it was pulled back for a free and stuff like that. Like, so you couldn't argue about every free that Ergal conceded, but there was certainly some ones that just felt Crokes were getting them that wee bit easier. And Niall gave us the count there. They got over 30 frees, and I think Tony Brosnan scored 7 frees on the night. So it was frustrating from not only from an Ergal point of view, but from an Ulster point of view.
Yeah, I was taking a few stats during the game. Inside the 45-metre line, Ergal had 14 frees against them versus 4 at the other end, and 3 out of the 4 were on Rory Canavan that he scored. So some of them were poor defending. You know, let's not get away from that. Like, some of them were needless, but I did feel a couple of the big decisions went against Ergal. Like, I think it was Kieran O'Leary who pushed Tommy Canavan in the back. I think that was it, but it was given as a free in, whereas for maybe too long or something. But I thought it was a push in the back. And then there was one at the other end where Ben McDonald, I think he closed in, and Charlie Keating, I think it was. Apologies if I've got the Crokes name wrong there, and it was a free in. And I remember screaming at the telly thinking, that's no free. You know, in a game of fine margins, it's criminal. And the other one was Crokes scored off what looked like a short kick out that didn't go outside the line. TV doesn't show it properly, but somebody who was at the game did seem to think that it should have been pulled for that one. And again, when it comes down to the smallest of margins, I just think I just don't think that should happen. They scored off that. So those are the small wee things that I felt just went against Errigal. And as I says, after the St. Neil Sarsfields hurling game, when you're going down below, it feels as if you need a cushion. And Joe Goose's goal was that cushion. Also, the fact that the two Camerons were just on fire, was a big thing. And probably just my final point in the game was, I thought it would have been a travesty if Errigal had lost it in normal time. That said, I don't feel Crokes deserved to lose it either. Like, they brought a lot to the game. But I thought, like, Ben McDonald hit a wide, Rory Canavan hit his only wide. And I remember thinking to myself, are Errigal going to miss the boat here? And then you have Petey Hart's ball across to Peter Ogue, and he doesn't seem to do tap over points. He had the balls the size of, I don't know what, the balls in the falls and between the posts, and away we went to extra time. A wee bit like the one that Kevin Lynch got for Iskakeen yesterday. So, but I do agree with you, lads. I do think a couple of the big calls went against Errigal, and I don't think it's good enough at this level that, there's inconsistency there. I just feel pretty strongly about that. It just, us Ulster teams, we always seem to have to work that wee bit harder down below, but we must be doing something right with 3 club teams back in the big Sunday. So,
and Peter Ogue McCartan, the hero again, of course, with that point, to take it into extra time, and we're a 2-pointer now in a couple of weeks, but only worth one on Saturday night. And now, just before we wrap up on Errigal, I suppose the extra time, I'm sure there was cramps, there was injuries and everything else. You said about the 8-day turnaround. Obviously, Kula have the same, but how's the bodies going to be heading into this game, do you think? It's the extra time takes a wee bit more out of the legs, obviously, but maybe the prospect of an Iron final, people heal up quicker than they usually would.
Yeah, even that actually, the fact it's not 7 days, but it's 8 days might make a bit of a difference. A couple of lads are obviously cramping up, and Cormac Quinn had to go off as well. He's a big player for Errigal at the back, but I understand it was just cramp because he had a bit of a long term. Well, he had a long term injury that ruled him out of the league, and then he came back in for his home championship. And I suppose I was wondering if it was a recurrence of that injury, but from what I hear, he was just exhausted after playing his heart out for 70 plus minutes or whatever it was, So yeah, I don't know. I suppose it's one of those things where hindsight will tell. Like if Errigal lose next weekend, people might say, "Oh, the exertions of the semi-finals took it out of them." But obviously early to say at this stage, and I'd say Errigal wouldn't want to be anywhere else this week. And I'm sure clubs around Tyrone and clubs around the country are very, very envious of them. And I'm from a neighbouring club of Errigal, so I know the place well, and I know the people reasonably well, and I'm happy for them because they're all good lads. You chat to them after the game and they're friendly, and I know a lot of people in the club as well, and they're accommodating and decent, and they love their football. But at the same time, there's obviously maybe a wee tinge of jealousy as well. But the feeling I get is that people from Tyrone are generally rolling in behind them, aside from maybe that tinge of only it was us type of thing, and it's if they do win, it'll be absolutely a start because no Throne teams ever won All Ireland Senior Championship title. No Throne teams even got to the All Ireland Senior Club Championship final, so they've already made history, and serious amount to talk about it around the country, and rightly so, I suppose.
I suppose the same in Donegal Mall with Meath Padraig now through to the Ireland Junior final as well. They beat Kilmurray on Sunday on penalties, so there's plenty of drama in this one. And I know I was just flicking through it this morning. It was on YouTube, and you have any amount of heroes. You have Kevin Lynch who kicked over the point to bring it to penalties. You have the keeper as well. I think is he Oran McCauley. He saved 2 penalties, and then Rory Hurl. He scored the penalty that won the game as well. So they've any amount of heroes.
Yeah, funny. I was at a Sigerson game yesterday, and I didn't get a chance to watch it until I got home. But I logged on at the start of the second period of extra time, and thankfully at that stage I didn't know the score. I was walking down through the streets of West Belfast watching extra time and penalties, and just I couldn't believe what was happening. Like they were 3 or 4 points down, and you're thinking to yourself, "Is this gone?" But you mentioned Rory Hurl, like he didn't start. I actually thought that would have been a big loss for them because him and Keelan Harkin had been injured. I thought that might have been what would have tipped the scales. But Rory Hurl down that left wing, he was on the ball so many times to create openings, and he obviously scored he actually scored the penalty that that tipped the scales at the very end. But Keelan McColgan was unmarkable. He scored 3 points. He won the penalty. He won 2 or 3 frees. It just seemed like he wanted to take the man on all the time. When the penalty appeal came, my first instinct was I wasn't sure if it was inside. It may have been on the line at best, but I was hoping. I was so glad when I saw the referee, probably the Ulster bias that I have, the same one when I was shouting at the TV for the Errigal game. I was so happy to see the referee spread his arms. I have to admit, it was borderline. They maybe got away with it, but Big Lynch tucked it away, and it was that was the game turning. And then whenever Kilmurray equalised, Cormac McColgan, who has been exceptional for them all year, a really hard-working performance yesterday again, he had a chance to win it and missed it. And then you're thinking, what's going to happen? And I think Kilmurray, Sean, had one more chance, and they didn't take it. I think there was a turnover, but then it went to penalties, and 2 saves from Warren McCauley. Lynch, I thought it was great nerve from Lynch because he had to take a penalty nearly straight away. He went to the bottom corner, then he went to the top corner, just with just no pressure. And Keelan McColgan's penalty was the same. But I was listening to Highland Radio coming on the road in the car, and Oran McCauley's interview, it was hilarious. He says he had a piece of paper down the side of a sock with nothing written on it. He took it out and he put it back in, and he says to the penalty taker, "I know where you're going." And then when the goalie came up to hit one, he says, "You're not on my list." And so there was all sorts of mind games going on, and but he made the saves that made the difference. And then he also commented that and Daniel McCauley as well was saying, the manager, a brother of Oran, I think he was his brother, but he was talking about Evan Craig and that they're looking down on us. There's that wee extra person looking after us here today. So the penalties was one half of it, but just the entire Muff story. Like, the club was born in 1989. They hadn't won a championship until this year, and I remember we did a feature on them and sort of their whole journey, and it was based around one team that came up through the ranks, an underage team, and I think they lost a County A final to St Eunan's, and a handful of them are now sort of the mainstays of that senior team. But what a journey it has been, and they've had to go to London twice, and the logistics and the money and the unknown. They picked a couple of injuries, and then whenever it came to the crunch, they just refused to give in. Their performance was just brilliant, and they lost Johnny Toy as well. I'm not sure of his injury yet. I haven't checked that, which is a big player to lose in a game like that. But as I say, Keelan McColgan was that man. He just took the fight to him at every opportunity, and they were fouling him. I think he won. He got fouled for a black card, and I think the referee missed another black card, but it maybe balanced it out when they get the penalty decision that they maybe might not have got. I mean, the jury's out on that one, so we'll have to be consistent about it. So if we think refs are sore one way, we'll sort of have to call it out the other way. So maybe the Muff people will disagree, but they're in an All-Ireland final, so they're maybe not that aggrieved today. I'm sure they're not worried too much.
And while we said about Errigal, it's a quick turnaround, the 8 days, and Niamh Padraig, they're going to have 2 weeks. And I suppose just from a fan's perspective, the team would be very much focusing on obviously the day out in Croke Park, the opposition, getting the recovery and all. But I think 2 weeks is a nice build up for the fans, just to soak it in, to get all the posters up, to get all the flags up, or maybe they're already up from the Ulster final. So it just gives the fans, I think, a wee bit more time to sort of let it sink in and appreciate what they're going to do in 2 weeks' time.
Funny, I was at a wake in Derry last week, and I drove across to Muff to get diesel, and I thought I'll just drive out to the pits to see what the story is. And the snow was falling, but there's flags everywhere. And the boy in the garage, I says, what's the football chat around here? And he says, there's nothing else to talk about. And I'm sure that's just completely intensified now. I think they're arranging them up for the match on Monday night, stroke press evening, and there's chat of that. So the people who aren't playing can just completely go both feet into just preparations, excitement. I think Daniel Macaulay quoted that the Donegal News 2 or 3 years ago ranked Muff as the 37th club in Donegal. He wasn't using it as motivation, by the way. It wasn't like we rooting off by everybody. He was just saying that's the journey we've came to now, going all the way to an All-Ireland final with a club that hasn't got a massive winning tradition. So that story in itself is just amazing. And I'll go back to the same thing I've said over and over and over again. Sean Kelly's decision to open up the All-Ireland club to intermediate and junior, and I suppose it's typified by our All-Star scheme where, every grade can potentially play in an All-Ireland final in every club, albeit the whole sort of debate around the Kerry thing where they have, their stronger teams playing intermediate, that probably has to be tidied up. But by and large, the fact that that's open to everybody and Muff are just that example, and I'm sure they're absolutely buzzing at the minute. And what that'll do for their club, for next year and the year after, as I say, for a club that's only 34, 35 years old.
And we'll move on to the Sigerson Cup then. Mal, you said you were at St Mary's and Queen's yesterday. St Mary's got their campaign off to a winning start. They beat Queen's, and of course Ulster University beat TU Sligo last week as well. And I think that was the only Sigerson game that actually went ahead midweek. And then so give us a bit of a roundup from St Mary's and Queen's then. St Mary's just the better side.
Yeah, they were, to be honest, and they were 2 points down at half time. Ryan McCullen, who had a very good debut season for Antrim last year, he had scored 1-2, a great goal, great thinking by Luke Donnelly, actually, who got a free, and everybody's expecting him to tap it over the bar, and he put the ball in, and McCullen put it in the top corner. It was like something out of the Joe Goose playbook, like it was top corner, and probably were pretty much in control at half time. And the second half was probably point for a while. Niall McKenna, Emmyvale lad, scored 7 points. He helped them get back level. Keelan Reevy, Cullyhanna All-Ireland winner last year, he got a point with his first touch. And there was actually Decky Loy won a massive breaking ball at a stage whenever possession was gold, and between it and Sean Rock won shortly after that. That sort of turned the game. St Mary's went ahead for the first time. I think it was something like the 50th minute, and then pushed on. And at the very end, the goal probably put the gloss on it. And again, like Niall McKenna finished with 7 points, but he had the assist for Sean Rock's goal, and a 116-19 victory. That was a deserving victory. They now play TUD this week in the next round in the winners' pot, whereas Queen's will play University of Galway in the losers' pot. So it's a wee bit like the Derry Club Championship was, like the Down one is at the minute. We have 2 chances, so it's all or nothing for Queen's. And they now play UL in the winners' pot as well, and they were convincing ones over Sligo. So we'll have to keep an eye on how the Ulster teams do as the competition progresses.
And the MacRory Cup as well. Mal eventually got 2 semi-finals or quarterfinals, played over the weekend. I know in Armagh on Saturday night, St Pat's Grammar School beat LBCBS, and it went to penalties. And I know the fog come down, and it was really hard to see in the second half and an extra time. But I suppose the hero from that game was the St Pat's keeper, Colin McKelney's, an Armagh Harpsman. He kicked the 45 at the end to bring it to penalties, and then he was the hero in the penalty shootout as well, making a couple of saves. So that's St Pat's through. And St Coleman's got beat on Sunday. I think it was Abbey Vocational School Donegal defeated them to book their place in the semi-finals. So that's the 2 confirmed places, but there's 2 quarterfinals to be played this week as well.
Yeah, actually didn't know he kicked the equaliser. That's a massive occasion for Colin there, and I think they play the winners of St Pat's Mahara and St Mary's Maherfelt, who play on Wednesday, and they met last year, and Mahara were favourites, and St Mary's turned them over. So there's obviously quite a selection of the very minor players of recent years, so I'm looking forward to see how that one pans out. I was at MacRory's game earlier in the campaign, and they won without being brilliant, but as Adrian McGuckin used to always say, MacRory Cups are never won before Christmas. It's always about what happens now. So that's a biggie, and obviously St. Pat's Armagh are with the winners. And Niall, I saw you tweeting the Oma Donegal game. I think it's maybe on Friday now. Did you have up the refixture of that? Maybe is that correct?
No, it's been rescheduled for Sunday at 4 p.m. in Oma, which clashes a wee bit with all Ireland finals. So I was wondering over the weekend whether they make after the Argyle game. I was wondering if they change it again, but we finals there.
So the winners of that will play Abbey Donegal, who were winners over St. Coleman's. But again, it's the Four Masters story as well. Like 13 out of that team play for Four Masters. And everybody knows we've spoken the pod before about their progression as a club. Like Connor McCall scored 1-1. Tomas Carr, they were both brilliant in the Ulster Minor final. He got 3 points. They were against the wind, but were 4-0 up and probably laid down the foundation for that. But as I says before, you've got a group of players who've played club championship together and now MacRory Cup. So it'll be interesting to see how they progress. Will they play the champions or will they play their Donegal rivals? We'll have to wait and see. And the other game of the weekend was the Ulster Camogie Championship. St. Pat's MacRory won their 20th title, 4 in a row. They were playing St. Killian's, and they got off to a really good start, and they ended up winning 4-14 to 1-8. So another success, and we'll have to see how they can progress in the All Ireland series. But that's the education roundup finished up for the weekend, lads.
So there's loads of college football and schools football, and the National League is just around the corner as well. So enough to keep us going over the next few weeks and months. And of course, we'll be back on Thursday, and we'll hopefully have a special preview show, and we'll be looking ahead to Earl Kieran's All Ireland final chances. And then we'll be back next Monday with our usual roundup, me, Mal, and Nell. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll chat to everybody hopefully on Thursday and then again on Monday. So thanks to Mal and Nell coming on, and thanks for everybody for tuning in.